Welcome back to America Decides. Donald Trump is the presumed frontrunner in the Iowa caucuses. The rest of the GOP field has just 4 days to close the gap. We're down to 5 Republican candidates vying for the nomination after Chris Christie dropped out yesterday. CBS News senior White House and political correspondent Ed O'Keefe joins us now. Ed, I think I took for granted how often I see you because it feels like it's been forever. You've been in Iowa now for weeks and talking to voters. So tell me, what are they saying is their top issue as they head into the election day? Caucus day, I should say. Sorry.
We should get to see you yes, caucus day. Let's not forget. They do it a little differently out here. Good to see you, if only through a toolbox. But, we have spent most of our time here hearing or putting an emphasis on hearing from these voters who play such an outsized role in beginning the 2024 campaign. Among the top issues for Republican voters especially has been what is the future of border security? What does the future of immigration into the United States look like? Voters talk about it, so do the candidates. Take a listen.
They pointed out that we're 1,000 miles from the border. Like, why does that matter to us in Iowa? I'm like, are you kidding? These people are infiltrating everywhere.
The immigration situation needs to be shut down. The borders need to be closed.
Of course, the reality of what the immigration situation is here, at least in Iowa, is a little different than as described by some who we've heard from. And we heard from somebody who's lived in this state for nearly 30 years. Her name is Brenda Rodriguez. Came to Iowa, came to the United States, like I said, about 30 years ago, and explained to us why that is and why she chose to live in Iowa. But as an immigrant, how the conversation that she's been hearing from Republican candidates, from fellow Iowans who are participating in the caucuses, has affected her and other immigrants like her. We also talked to a guy named Joe Enrique Henry, who's a longtime immigrant rights activist, about this. So take a listen.
We did it so many years being under the shadows, and I'm done, I had tried my best ways to go through the legal process, but it's no way. They don't leave any way for us.
So when you hear these candidates who are running in your state talk about immigration and say that people who've come illegally have to go home to wherever they're from, what do you think of that?
I came running from the father of my daughters because I was scared of he killed me. I have worked a lot in this country. I think I haven't done anything wrong. I think I deserve a chance to stay. If I'm paying my taxes and I'm not doing anything, I don't think I'm a bad person that the people from Iowa don't want me here.
Iowans, especially here, would have a very difficult time having anything to eat at dinner time without immigrants, because immigrants are the ones who process the meat, who farm the fields, who cook the food, serve the food. A lot of Iowans would starve without immigrants taking care of all those necessary things to help feed those families.
So, Weijia, that gives you some sense of how those that maybe aren't as actively involved, but certainly who live and work here, hear the conversation about that issue and then are living their own reality, so to speak.
Of course, there are so many other issues, Ed, that we heard about last night when Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis faced off in the final debate before the Iowa caucuses. They're crisscrossing the state, trying to get, last-minute voters. Are they making any impact, or is this still mostly the Trump show in the Hawkeye state?
We have met nobody in this state, Weijia, who disputes the idea that the former president is ahead. But certainly Ron DeSantis' operation is confident they have built out the kind of precinct by precinct, county by county campaign that is necessary to win in the very surgical way that the Iowa caucuses are conducted. Nikki Haley's team is here. It was notable that she is here for the duration. There's no plan to go back to New Hampshire, for example, where she's suddenly cutting into the former president's lead, if you believe a recent poll. They're not as well organized at that sort of very grassroots level as much as the Trump and the DeSantis operations are. But they seem confident that some of the enthusiasm and maybe late deciders who've been trying to decide between Governor DeSantis and others might break her way. He's here tonight in Ames at a barbecue joint that has this great back room that we're in that's been used by candidates of both parties for several years to reach people in this community to the north of Des Moines. And you're going to see this really traditional retail campaigning across the state through Sunday night into even Monday morning, depending on the campaigns. Whether it's DeSantis, the former president will be here at various points over the weekend. He's been relying on some of his surrogates, former Trump cabinet secretaries, members of his family are here tonight in the state. And then Nikki Haley has her two children who are in their 20s campaigning with her this weekend as well.
Well, Ed, this mom who is concerned about seeing you on TV almost 24 hours a day hopes you eat, if not barbecue, something. I want to talk about Chris Christie because he dropped out of the presidential race last night, as you know. And I wonder if that's going to make any campaigns because there are 5 remaining candidates vying for the GOP nomination. Is Christie's absence going to help anybody?
Not here in Iowa. He's been a complete non-factor. Never organized, did not visit, certainly over the last several months as he was so laser focused on campaigning in New Hampshire and spending time in New York and Washington television studios trying to take advantage of free earned media. So it really is down to these 5 as you see them on screen, and arguably more so the first 3 there, Trump, DeSantis, and Haley. The big question is what happens to his support up in New Hampshire, where looking at surveys that were released in the last 2 weeks, you could see sort of, okay, if he's your first choice, who's your second choice? Most of the data suggests that most of his support does have the potential to transfer over to Governor Haley, Ambassador Haley. But we've also heard in the last 24 hours, or we've been reminded of the real bad blood between these 2 rival camps and his concerns that she doesn't have what it takes potentially to take on the former president and at least beat him in New Hampshire, if not defeat him outright.
Yes, Ed, that was made very clear. As always, thank you for joining us and for all of your reporting.